Hello everyone, welcome to day 7 of my 100 days challenge. Today we'll be solving few of the SQL questions asked in Amazon data analyst interview. So let's see the questions. So the question is, you are given two table of Amazon, which is order table and the list table. Now the order table has informations like order ID, customer's ID, order date and time, and the item ID and the quantity ordered. And the second table has item ID and the category name. So we need to solve these four questions. So the first question is that how many units were ordered yesterday? This is the first question. The second question is, in the last 7 days, including today, how many units were ordered in each category? So that is our second question. And the third question is that write a query to get earliest order ID of all customers for each order date they place ordered. And the fourth question is that write a query to find the second earliest order ID for each customer for each date they place 2 or more orders. So in the fourth questions, we need to find out the second earliest order ID for each customers for those day when they have placed 2 or more orders, but we need to find out the second earliest order ID. So let's solve these questions today. Now I have already created a table and imported this data into this two table in my tool which I'm using called pgadmin4. Now if you need this data to practice and solve these questions, I will be adding my GitHub link in the video descriptions. You can go to the video descriptions, download the data from my GitHub, and you can solve these questions. Now you can write your query in the comment box. And lastly, I want to say thank you so much for each one of you for sharing your feedback and suggestions and supporting me. So let's start writing this query to solve these questions. Now you can see I have created both the table and inserted the data. So let's see the first table, which is called items table. In the item table, I have item ID and the item category. And the second table that we have, which is order table. Let's see in the order table. In the order table, I have order ID, customer's ID, order time and date, and item ID and the quantity. So now based on this item ID, I can join this table with item table, right? Because in the item table, I have item informations. Now, if I need something called category, I can connect this table. I can join this table with my item table based on this item ID because they will be same. Now, let's see the question. First question is again the same, which is how many units were ordered yesterday. So we will solve one by one. I'm going to solve all of these four questions and I'm going to upload my solutions in my GitHub. So you can download it from there as well. And you can share your approach in the comment box. Now, there is a possibility that you may have a different approach. That is totally fine. Let's start writing query. So I need the unit, total unit that I have. So I can write something called count. I can use the count functions because count function usually count the number of rows I have in the table. So I'm saying count of star. Now star means I'm not selecting any column. I'm simply saying count the rows that I have in the table. So the table I will be giving something called from. Now this is the first syntax that you learn when you start learning SQL. So let's say I'm saying from orders. So this is going to give me the total orders that we have, right? Let's just run it. Now see, total we have 13 orders. Okay. What we need is the order for yesterday. So how do we filter the order for yesterday? Now I will just comment it out and I will show you the table again so that we can think like which are the columns that we will need to use to solve this question. So now before solving this question, you can first see the table and then try to understand which are the column you need to solve these questions and how you will need it, right? So we need the count as we know, like the total orders, but we need total orders for yesterday. So after going through the data, I can see I have a column called order date time. So this column I can use to filter the data for yesterday. And we use where conditions to filter the data in SQL. So I can go ahead and say where. And I can see this order date equals yesterday, right? So I just need to select this, right? This order date, which is going to be order date time. This is the column name. So order underscore, the correct name, and underscore equals yesterday. So here I need to compare this data with the yesterday, right? That is how it is going to select me the data for yesterday. So how do you select yesterday? Now you can enter it like the yesterday date because I have the live data. So you can see I have the yesterday data, which is 14. Today is 15. So I can simply select the yesterday date in this format like 2024 and month is July and yesterday is 14. Okay. I can either enter this way, but this is not the best way, but there is a functions which we have. We will use that functions. Now the second approach I have, which is called extract functions. So I can use the extract functions. That is how I can select the yesterday data. So how does extract functions work? Let me show you. So you say extract day from, and here you give your date columns. Now the syntax is like this: extract, and inside a bracket you say day from and your column that you give here. So if I have this column, I can give this column, or I can give something called current date. So this current date is going to give me the today date from the system. So I can show you. If I just select extract day from current date, so that is going to be 15 because today is 15, right? So let's just run this query and let's see. Now see, we are getting 15, right? So what we need here, if I say -1, okay, -1, that's going to give me yesterday, which is 14 date. You see, it's showing 14, right? So here what we need is we want to compare this order date with yesterday, which is 14th, right? But this side as well, we need to convert it because now we have a date, right? Which is like in this format, like 24, 7 and 14 or 15. We have in this format, which is year, month and days. So what I can say here, we can use the extract functions, extract, and I can say simply extract day from this order date. So this side I can say, instead of this I can say this, okay, extract day from current date -1. Okay, I can put it in the next line. So what is happening here, I am basically filtering the data. I am saying, hey, first extract from the date column I have, extract the day number, then all the day number will be given, and then I'm simply saying that, okay, from the current date extract the day number and -1. So that is how I get the yesterday data. Now even if next day I run the same query, that is definitely going to work. I don't have to change this date. Now, earlier I would have to change this date to 14 to 15 because yesterday would be 16. So I want to see, tomorrow is going to be 16, so I want to see yesterday sale. That means I want to see 15 sale. But if you use this query, you don't have to change the date, right, manually, because it's a dynamic query here. Okay, now this current function is very, very useful. So if you need month, you can say month here. So this return you month number. If you need year, you can say year here. This return year number. So this functions only works in Postgres SQL. MySQL syntax is very simple. You simply need to say day outside of your column name, same as like we do in Excel. So let's now run this query. Let's first verify if we are getting the right data. Now I may have done some spelling mistakes. No, I need to comment it out because I'm not using this approach, right? So let's just comment that out. And let's now verify, right? So 14th yesterday sale, 14th yesterday sale, 14th yesterday sale, all the sales I can see, all these are yesterday sale, right? Now what I need is to count this number of records I have here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how do I count? I use this count functions. Now I can say count of star, that is going to count the number of records that SQL is fetching in the result. Instead of showing the results like the table like this, it's going to show me the count because I'm using a count functions. So that is called count of star. Now you can say count of order ID, count of date, anything you can say, any column, that is going to give you the same result because it is at then going to count the number of rows that we have in the result. So this was the question 1 answer. Okay, so let's now move to the second question. So let's see the second question. So let me first copy the second question. So the second question says, in the last 7 days, which is including today, how many units were ordered in each category? Okay. Now again, before solving any questions, I would request you to view the table. Try to see which are the columns that you need to use to solve the problem, right? So first let's see the table. Then we will read the question again to build our logic. Now you can see we have the table. So we have order ID, we have customer ID, we have order date, again the same thing. But the question says in the last 7 days. Now by looking this, we know that we need to find out the last 7 days in data, including today. Okay, so which is like today and the last 6 days data, what we need to find out, like what we need to filter. Now the second thing that we need is how many units were ordered in each category, which is in last 7 days including today. So how many units were ordered in each category? Okay, so this each category means that we need to see for each category how many units were ordered. So first of all, we need to find out where we have this category. Now if you remember in the first thing that we have seen, that was list table. So in the list table we have something called category. You see, it's list, I think item list. Okay, it's item, sorry, items table. So in the item tables we have the category. So if I just run it now, you can see we have something called category here, which is item. Category is the column name. So we need this column because then only we can do a group by this column for each category, different group, and then we can see the total count. Now again we need to do a filter to select the data for last 7 days. So let's write down our approach, that what are the things we need to solve this question. Now I use this approach where I write down the things that I need first, then I start building my logic. Now first thing, I know that I need to join order and items table. Now they both have what column, which is called item ID, because in order table also we have something called item ID. So let me show it again. See, we have something called item ID. So based on this item ID, and I can take this 5 and I can go to this items table and I can see which category has this 5 ID. So what is the categorical name? I can find it, right? So C005, let's see. You see it here. You can see that C005, that is books. So what I need to do is to join these two tables, which is called order and items, based on what? Items ID in both table. That's the first thing that I will do. The second thing what I will do is to filter the data for last 7 days. Okay. Now order of execution says that first we do the join, because once you do the join, both the table become one table. Then you do your filter using where conditions, where to basically where you want to select some of the columns based on whatever the conditions you have. So we will filter the data for last 7 days, okay, using a where conditions, of course. Now other than that, after we do the filter, what we need, okay, after we do the filter, we need each category and the count of unit ordered, right, in each category. So we need to do a group by this category. Okay, and then we can do a count of star, that is going to give us the total order that is placed in each category in last 7 days. Okay, so let's first do the join and let's see how it is going to work. Now we will do an inner join to select everything from both the table based on the match. Now I'll give order table as O to make it shorter name, and I would say join. And this items as I. So item table I'm giving a short name called I. Okay, now otherwise I will need to write down the whole name every time that I'm basically referring to the table. So I'm saying on. Now from O table, which is the order table, I have I think list ID, item ID equals I table dot this item ID. Now if you're not getting this auto suggestions, you can turn on your auto suggestion by going into system preferences or settings for Windows. So join is done. Now let's just run this query to see how this table looks like. Now you can see we have the table, but we have some more columns this time. So we have, this is coming from the first table, which is order table, then this item ID and the category is coming from the second table, which is items table, based on this item ID and this item ID. Okay. Now what I need is only by this column, I just need to do a group by, then I can count how many orders we have in each group. Then I can see each group and how many orders we have by simply doing a count functions on this order ID. Okay, so to do a group by, I can simply say item category. Okay, now one more thing. Before that, we need to filter the data, because we have the data for, you can say 2023 as well, right? So we need to filter the data for last 7 days. Okay. Now, how do you filter? After the join, you use a where conditions to filter on any of the column. Now, this time we want to filter the last 7 days. So we will use this in date columns. If in case you want to select specific category, you can filter by this column. You want to select a specific customer, you would filter by this column. So what I would say is where, and here I would use some approach. Let's see which approach will work. Now we need to select last 7 days. Okay. So from here we need to, now again there's going to be two approach, like you can use between. So using between, you can select between and end, like today date and the last 7 days date. Okay, so if I just write it down, today is 15, so 15 of 7. Okay, so what would be the last 7 days? So it's going to be 15 of 7 of 2024. Okay, oops. Let me just 2024 15, or is write it this way. So 15. Okay, this is the today date, which is 15th of July. Okay, so the last 7 days is going to be 15th of July, 9th of July, right? Till 9th July. This is going to be the last 7 days, right? So from today date, we can minus 6 days. right? If I minus 6 days, I get this 9th July, because including today, right? So today and the last 6 days, that's going to be in my 7 days bucket, right? So here what I can say where, and I can say this like order, column name, order, date, okay, time, and I can say equals. Here I just need to put a range which will start from 9 July and which will end at 15 July. 15 July. Okay, because the last 9 July is going to be the starting day and the 15 July is my today. Now, as you know, in Postgres, we have current date functions, which you have learned earlier, which is current date, because this current date is going to give us the today date, right? So we just need to minus 6 from this day to get our last, this day. To get this date, we can simply minus current date minus 6. Okay, I can simply show you. How do I get the last 7th day? I mean the entry starting day, if from my bucket, which is last 7 day. If I just run this query, I get the last 7 day date, which is, you can say, 9th July. Okay, because from today I am minusing 6 days. Okay, so this is what we will do here. Okay, so what I will say, from the current date, okay, so this current date time equals, now here I will just need to put my logic. So what I can say, how do I select the static? See, I can use something called between end. So here I give my starting day, which is going to be, I will show you the simplest way first, 2024 and 9th, 7 July and 9th July and the today, right, which is going to be what, 15th. So this will filter the data for last 7 days, but every time we need to change it manually, because today is 15. So last 7 days is going to be 15th, 14th, 13, 12, 11, 10 and 9, right? That's going to be my last 7 days. So if I run this, my query works fine. I can show you 24, 7, 9 and yeah, so this works fine. Let's see. Okay, now one thing we need to know, this order date time. Okay, this is not a date column. First of all, this is a timestamp column. So we are saying, okay, this timestamp column equals, we are comparing with some date. So what I can do, we can convert this column into date by using simply double colon sign, and we can write date. So this will convert this column into date. Now if you want to see it, I can show you how it works. Okay, first let's see. Between 24, 7, 9 and syntax error. Let's see. Okay, I don't need to put equals because I am saying this column and I'm saying between. So between operator, you don't need to put equals because I'm not comparing with one date, right? I'm comparing with the range. So between this and this. So this will work for sure. Now let's just run it. Now you can see we are filtering the data for last 7 days. Now I can verify it. We have 14, 13, 15. So I think we only have this, these records for only these dates. Okay, but when you will have actual data, you will get the data for last 7 days. So now this is fine. So what you can do other than this, see, other than this, every time you need to change it, right? The range you need to calculate and change it. So why don't you do something like this? In the current date, you, instead of putting this date, today date manually, you put like this. Okay, current date. Now instead of putting this, we can simply put this, right? Current day date minus 6. Okay, so this is going to give us the last 7 days range. Okay, so let's just run it. Let's see if we are getting same answer. You see, we are getting same answer. So 15, 13, 14, 13, all this date and their orders, right? Now what I wanted to show you, this date, how do you convert it? Now let's say if in case you only want to see this order table. Okay, so if I just run it here, now you will see that we have a column called order date time. Okay, this column, let's say I only want the date, not this time. So I can write something called order underscore date time, which is my column name, double colon, and I just write something date. If I write this date, I am expecting a new column after my all the columns, because see, I'm saying star, other than that one more column. Now that column I'm converting from date time to date. Okay, so let's run it and let's see. Now you see, I'm only getting date. So this is what I am doing here, right? I'm using this date converter to convert this date time data into date. Then I compare with starting day, which is current day minus 6. That is including last, that means last 7 days date, last 7 days starting date, which is 9th July, right, for us, and the current date. So I'm saying the date must be between this and this. So this query will always automatically select the last 7 days, range of data. So let's just comment out everything else at the moment. Now what else we need to do? So let's just run this query again. Now again we have the same tables. This time I just need to do a group by this column called item category. So this column name will be, which is called group by this column, which is, this is coming from item table. So which is itable I dot item category. By default it is coming here. Okay, so I need this column here as well, because I want to see each item category and the count of orders. So I'd say count of star or order ID. Okay, I can show you by putting the order ID as well. So my column is o dot order ID. So this is how I select total orders. I can give a nice name. So let's run this query, and this is going to give us each category and their total orders that we have received in each category in the last 7 days. So this was the question number 2. Now maybe this video will be a little long because you are learning the concepts, so I really appreciate for that. Now let's see the question number 3. It says write a query to get the earliest order ID for all customers for each date they place an order. So we need to find out each customer's the order ID for every day, whatever that they have placed some order, the first order ID, like the order that they have placed the earliest, right, the first order of that day. So that is what we need now, because there is a possibility that there's a customer who has done 2 orders in the same day, so or maybe 3 orders in the same day. So for every day whenever they have done orders, we need the order ID for the first order of that day for that customer. Okay, now to solve these questions we have a functions called window functions, which I will be using, that is called a row number. So let me first explain what we need. Okay, so first we need to see each customer's ID and their orders, all the orders they have done. So I can do an order by this customer's ID, and I can do an order by this order date to see each customers and how many orders they have done. Let me just show you. Okay, so I can go ahead and say order by, just to show you, I can say order by this customer ID. So I see the data in ordered. Next I want to do order by this order date time, okay, in ascending. So the earliest order will come first. Now I can see I have all the data first for the customer's ID 1, and for then customer's ID 2, customer's ID 3. Okay, now all the possible date whenever they have done order. Okay, now I have ordered by this column as well. This is my second order by. For the earliest date I have the order. So let's see. This customer has done first order on 12 January 2023. Then the second order was done again, I think 12 January 2023. So now you see this customer has done a 2 order in the same day, which is 12 January 2023. But one order was placed at 1 o'clock and another one order was placed at 11 o'clock, right? Similarly, this customer has done a second order, which is 2024. And in 2024, 13th July, that is at 3 p.m. That is the second order for, that is the first order for this day. And this customer has done one more order, that's again 14th July. So now we can see this customer has done 2 orders on 14th July. So this is the first order, which is at 10 a.m. 10:15, and the second order this customer has done on again 14th July, which is at 11 a.m. Okay, now this is 10:15, this is 11. So which one we need? We need this order of this day, okay, which is the first order of this day. Similarly, here we only have one order, so we need this one. Okay, so similarly we have here we have 2 orders, so we need the first order of that particular day. So that is for customer 1. So we need the same thing for every customers that we have in this record, and every day that they may have placed one order or multiple orders. If they have placed multiple orders, we need the first order ID, and the day when they have only one order, we need that order ID. Okay, to solve this we can use a window functions called a row number, and we can do a partitions by customers ID and the order date. Now let's see how it's going to solve our problem. Because this row number is going to create a new window, it is going to give a number ranking starting from 1. So each partition that I create, so which the partition is customers ID and a date. Okay, now first customers ID and a date. This customer's ID second date, this customer ID third date. So in the first date, if I have 10 records, then I can do an order by this date time in ascending. So it's going to basically give the first ranking to the first order of that day. Okay, so let me show you. So the syntax is very simple. You say row number like this, and you can say over. Now we will do partitions because we want to do a ranking based on customer's ID and the order date on this order ID of each customer's ID and each order date, then in the order ID. So let me show you. So you say something called over, and you just need to write partitions by, and first I want to do a partition by customer ID, then I want to do a partitions by order, okay, which is my second column, that is called order date time. Okay, order underscore date time. Now I need to convert it into date. Okay, so I would convert it into date. Then I need to do a order by this column, which is called order date. Okay, same thing what I did earlier, which is this one. Okay, order date time. Now this time I will not convert it because I need the data by hour as well and the second as well. Okay, so let's see what it is going to do. Now I can give a name here called as rank. So let's run this query. I don't need the order this syntax now because I have already done the ordering inside this window functions. Okay, now let's just verify it. Now you see first customers I have here. This is my first partitions and this is my second partitions. Now inside the first partitions I have done some more partitions by this order date. So each order date will be my second partition inside each customers. So you see this is my customer's ID 1. So first order this customer was placed on this 12 January. So 2 order was placed. So this is my first partitions inside this customer's ID. Now this customer's ID have again, this is the second partition, third partition. So every day this customer has ordered, every day will be my one of the partitions. Now why I have done a partitions by this customer's ID and this order date? Because I wanted to see each customers and each order date combinations. Now inside each order date, how many orders that customer has done inside each date. Now each date is one partitions. Now what is actually happening inside each date? I am getting some number ranking. You see in this date I have 2 orders for this customer, which is 1. So the first order, which is the earliest order, that is getting rank 1. Second order, which is at 11 o'clock, that is getting rank 2. If it customer has done one more order, that will get rank 3, so on so on. Okay, this is what the row function does. This is the power of row functions, window functions. Now this customer has done only one order on this date, which is called 13th July. Okay, so only one partitions and only one order belongs to this partitions, which is this partitions, and that's the only one ranking. Okay, so similarly if you see this customer has done again some order on 14th. So again 14th, the earliest order get ranking 1 and the second order of this 14th get a ranking 2. You can see it here. Okay, let's see where it is. Okay, this is ranking 1, this is ranking 2. Okay, so why I'm showing you, I will tell you. Now let's say customers ID 2. For customers ID 2, 2 order was placed on 14th, first at 12:40 and the second order was 3 p.m. 3:30. So first order get ranking 1 and the second order get ranking 2. So we can check for 4 as well. Also 2 order, one is 16, one is 15. So both are getting ranking 1. Now what do you think if I filter this data by saying this Rn equals 1? That will ensure that every partitions, which is combinations of customer's ID and order date, and this ranking 1 is given to what? For every date, the first order, the earliest order that get this ranking 1. Because why? Because see, I have done an order by this column, which is called order date time. Okay, now I can go ahead and simply say select everything where, or I select order ID where this Rn equals 1. My problem is solved. Okay, now one challenge is here because we cannot use filter on this column because this columns we have created using a window functions. So I need to save this data in a subquery with CTE and then I can filter by this column, because now this column is not an actual column. To filter by a column, that column must exist in the table. Now this column doesn't exist in the table, we have created it, right? So it's a very simple. What you do is like this. Okay, select, just to show you, select everything from, you write your table name here, but we do not have a table, so I'm going to skip it for now, and I'm just going to put this query, the below query, inside a parenthesis like this. Okay, now this is going to create, this query is going to create a table. I can name it called X. Okay, now what is happening, as soon as I execute this query, it's going to run first. This subquery is going to create a table by name called X. From this table I am selecting everything. Now this table has a column called Rn, so I can simply say here where Rn equals 1. That is how I select all the customers and each date and their first order that they have placed. Okay, with all the details you can see it here. We have each customers. Okay, this one has done total 4 order. Now from every day I'm getting 1 order details, that order that was placed the earliest. Okay, like you can verify it here. Now we only need this order ID, we don't need rest of the things, so I can simply go ahead and write it here that I only need what? Order ID. Okay, so this is how we have solved this question. Now you can see we have the order IDs, each order IDs. So this is fine. Let's see the next questions, which is again going to be little long. So let's see the next questions, which is question number 4. So it says write a query to find the second earliest order ID. Okay, for each customer, for each date they place 2 or more orders. So this question is quite similar with what we have solved this in the third. Now little one step extra here we need to do. Now instead of finding the first, we need to find the second earliest order here. Second earliest order. Now if you placed the order at 10 o'clock and second order you have placed it like 10:30, so the order that you have placed at 10:30, that's going to be the second earliest order. We need to find out the second earliest order for each customer for each date only if they have placed 2 or more orders. Okay, either they have placed 2 orders. Obviously if they place 2 orders, then only you will have the second earliest, right? Or if they have placed 3 orders, 5 orders, 10 orders, then we will have the second earliest order, because if they have placed 1 order, we will not get the second earliest, so that functions will not give us the result. Okay, now let's see what we need to do. So here we need to say the same thing again. So I will select everything, which is going to be select star, and I will use row number again, and I will say over. Partitions remain same, which is partitions by first customer ID, same what I did earlier, and second partitions I will do by this, which is called order date time. Okay, order by this I will save by the same name. Okay, everything remains same, so I just need to delete it from orders table. Fine, so this is going to give me again all the things that I need to solve this question. Now I again have the same ranking. Now what I need for each customers, I need this order ID, because see, this customer has done 2 orders in this day, which is 12th of Jan of 2023. So I need this order ID. Okay, but I need this order ID only if this customer has done more than 2 or more than 2 orders in this particular day. Yes, of course, this day this customer has done 2 orders. That's the reason I am getting this 2 ranking, right? Otherwise I would have only 1 ranking like this. Okay, something like this. See, this customer 3 on 13th July has done only 1 order, so ranking 1, because this customer has not done second orders, so second ranking has not given. It is basically very simple. This time I need rn equals 2 and I need the order ID, so I can use the same thing here. Select everything from, okay, in fact let me show you one thing. Okay, this time I can use a CTE to solve it instead of using subquery, so you get idea of both. So CTE syntax is again simple. You say it in the top, and in subquery you give the table name. Here in the CTE give a table name on the top. Okay, so you say with, and then you can give a table name what you want. So I want it's called again X table. You can give any meaningful name, that is fine. So, and you just need to give a s alias like this, and inside the parenthesis you put your query without giving semicolon like this, because we are not closing the query here. Okay, in the CTE little different what we do here. You need to write down from which table and what you are looking for. So we are looking for, again we are looking for, let's say everything for now from a table called X table. Okay, so this is going to give us everything from this table. So as soon as I execute this query, now I need to select the whole query. This is going to first complete this inner query. This is going to create a table by this name called X table. Now from X table I am selecting everything. So let me show you. So you see I'm getting the table, I'm getting the ranking. Okay, now I can simply say where. Now this X table has a column called rn. I can say where rn equals 2. So this gives me the answer. You see where I'm getting the answer, right? All these orders are from those date for each customers where they have done at least 2 orders, right? Okay, so we needed only order ID, so I will just say order ID from X table and where Rn equals 2. So that's how I get those order ID where the customer has done at least 2 or more orders in that particular day. And this is the second earliest order ID. Alright, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. I really appreciate your time. Now, if in case you want to practice these questions, you can go to the video descriptions and check my GitHub link, and you can download this data from GitHub, copy paste into your code editor, and you can try solving these queries. If in case you have any different approach to solve these questions, do let me know in the comment box. Thank you so much. Have a good day. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Take care.